Good to go.
Okay, so I said admit all, so they should all be able to come in
Yep.
freely now, correct?
Yep.
Okay, you, how old are you?
Yeah.
It says Tony, it is making me
And
admit.
did
I had to
email
admit.
you a link when we talked?
Morning, everybody, just give us a second while we started
What is your
admitting
name?
everybody as they're popping in.
Oh, I'm like,
I
whoa.
thought when I said admit all, it would let them all in, but it only let in those that were already in there.
And
If
what
you
is-
could please mute yourself. Thank you.
Okay, it looks like everybody's admitted.
It's the 8 at Gmail. Okay, so what I do is I email you a link and you fill out the information online. That's required.
All right, I just muted everybody for now, and then we'll unmute as needed as people are checking in and still having side conversations. Thank you. And Ted, if you can just help keep an eye on if you see participants waiting to come in, can you see that on your end? Because it is still making me add people individually, which is going to be annoying. I thought I could, I said, I wonder if I can change that setting. Ted, I think I'm going to make you a co-host so you can keep admitting all these people. Because otherwise I'm never going to get started because people are just.
Tammy, make me co-host so I can do it.
Oh, I thought you were co-host. Or
No,
I thought
it took my privileges away.
Okay. You are now co-host. Can you admit people? Hopefully you can. Thank you. All right,
No, it's not letting me.
all right, then I'm going to make you host.
Okay.
Hang on. Bear with us, guys.
All right. Well, I'm good. I can admit people now.
Oh, you can. Oh, it might have just taken a minute for the.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Good morning, everybody. Happy December. I can see some of you have your video on. It's going to be hard for me to watch all the videos and talk at the same time. I've been spoiled in the past being able to check everybody out while Patrick talks. So it's a different role for me today. Hope everyone's having a good week and realizing there's only a couple weeks till our holiday break. It's crazy to think it's coming that fast. So we are not going to take up a lot of your time this morning. We just have a few updates we wanted to share. We didn't want to go into the new year without having one more check-in. So this one will hopefully not take up too much of your morning. But we are hoping that you will share some good news with us. I can start by sharing that we are pretty far along in our director search. And we are hoping to be able to share someone with you to start the first of the year, if all goes well. So we are really hopeful that maybe even in an email before the new year, we might do a email intro. And then for our January check-in, you will get to meet our new director. That's our goal. So, it's always important to have goals, but to also have realistic goals that if it doesn't work out, it's more important to find the right person than just to rush through with someone. So does anyone else have any good news? Marcus?
Yeah, thank you. And encouraging news about the director search. Appreciate that. We were, and you may have seen the press release that came out yesterday, but we were one of the 10 recipients from Leo of the My Impact grant. It's a project we're very excited about here at the Literacy Center with Corewell and Grand Rapids Community College and WMCAT. To provide IETs for incumbent workers and new workers at Corewell in facilities and environmental services and nutrition services into mid-level medical professions. So they'll be paid full-time and then work part-time, be trained part-time to move into those mid-level medical roles, and we'll be removing English language literacy as a barrier for that. So really innovative, really collaborative project over 2 years to train 150 individuals into those roles. So we're very excited and think that it's going to be transformative for not only the participants, but also for the larger awareness of that population and the issue in our region. So we're really excited, really grateful for the opportunity, and look forward to getting started on that shortly after the new year. So
Well, hopefully by fall, you'll be ready to share at our conference, because that IET work and maybe even mixing in a little apprenticeship at some point, like all of that is very intriguing for those of us that keep trying to get those inroads in with like Corwell. We have
Yep.
Troy right here, Troy Beaumont right here. Well, Corwell. I still want
Yeah,
to
right.
we have Corwell right here that we try to get in with, but the red tape, sometimes it's a little tricky to find the right project. So now that you've already opened that door for us, maybe we can make our way in. Well,
Yeah.
congratulations. That was huge. And you were the only like literacy center adult education program that got that. The rest of them were more human services related.
Yeah, we were, as
So
we
that
looked at
was
that
really
list,
exciting.
yeah, we were not super hopeful. We had written for this project through a couple of other funding sources, COVID funds and the like. And those were very competitive, and this we also expected to be very competitive, and we weren't super hopeful about getting it, even though we thought it was a great project, but also because we recognize as a literacy center, we probably weren't top of mind necessarily. So yeah, really grateful again to get that recognition for our field of work more broadly, not just for us. So yeah, and certainly look forward to sharing out in future gatherings and the conference in the fall about what comes of that and lessons learned. So
Well, and I think that shows all of us that we should maybe be reaching a little further than we realize, that what we are doing fits a lot more categories than maybe what, we pigeonhole ourselves a little bit.
Yep.
Because I wouldn't have thought to write for that for our
Mhm.
IET program, just because I thought it was more human services approach. So now, like I said, you've opened that door, and we may have to start trying to write, and stretch our wings a little bit. So thank you for that encouraging story. Does anyone else have any good news to share?
Hello, Tammy. I have good
Hi.
news. Yes, Kalamazoo Literacy Council, we are about to have on Friday our annual Adult Literacy Research and Training Symposium, which we have in collaboration with Western Michigan University. It's this Friday at the College of Health and Human Services from 8 to 3:30. And there are sketches that are available for that workshop. This year's theme is Community Literacy in Action. And it's been a celebration of the work that we've been doing with Western Michigan University to bring literacy into our neighborhoods in creative and innovative ways. One of them is our approach to adopting sites within our Edison neighborhood, one of our most impoverished and challenged neighborhoods, and creating learning opportunities. So we'll be celebrating some of the better practices and how we did that type of work. One of the biggest things that we did is we partnered with the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute and brought that class that was taught by one of our fellows, which we partner with Western Michigan University, and they taught in our adult ed programs about the history of Edison and some of the things that you can do to be able to make a difference from an activist perspective with literacy. And the result was they found research about an African-American builder who built Heritage Hall, the oldest building at Western Michigan University, but he'd never been recognized. And just past week, President Edward Montgomery from Western Michigan University had a big old huge unveiling saying that they will give recognition to Heritage Hall of Albert White as being that builder. And that came directly out of our residents who are working with us in partnership with Western Michigan University. They also created a second play street in our community, which they call Literacy Lane. So they were able to take over a street in our community, and they'll be sharing about that. And we have had some really great successes in multi-generational learning with partnership with both of our libraries, the Kalamazoo Public Library and Portage District Library. So we're really excited about that. All the innovation helped us to be able to secure $66,000 in additional work to do this type of community engagement in our communities. So we're really excited to share that information. And our symposium's supported in part by the Michigan Humanities Council, who paid for the exhibit that we're going to be unveiling at the symposium this Friday as well. So
Michael, can people still register to join the symposium?
Sure, I'll get
You want to put that in the chat in case there are people who didn't realize that was available and want to attend? It sounds awesome.
Yeah, thank you. I'll put it in the chat.
Anybody else have good news to share? Doesn't have to be that. I mean, those were some big projects, but it can be even something smaller in your own program. We had our international feast for Thanksgiving with all of our students the week of Thanksgiving, actually. And that's always an amazing day for us. And we have the central office that comes over and some board members that come over to share amazing food that our students share. And then we provide the turkey, the mashed potatoes, and dressing and gravy, the traditional Thanksgiving with them. And it's always a favorite day of our program year. Anybody else?
Tammy,
Yep.
I'll share something.
Okay.
Here at Washington Community College, we have been having a partners breakfast for years, and it was aimed at K-12 counselors and people from K-12. But this year we've extended the invitation to our Region 9 adult ed partners, and 7 of our partners here in Region 9 are planning to attend that session. And the purpose of the session is just to share information about programmings, connect with people. So I'm really happy that 7 of our group responded, and they're planning to attend this Friday.
That's awesome. I'm actually making that note. What a great idea. You can always get more people with food, right? So as we're trying to meet with our employers, partners, I thought, oh, that might be a good idea to get them more engaged, offer them food and an opportunity to be out of the office for a little bit.
Yeah, actually, we do that with employer partners as well. So here at the college, it's just something to be aware of, and a great way to be able to connect with those groups as well.
Well, thank you for sharing that idea.
Belding Adult Ed had a Thanksgiving feast too. Our staff provides the food and we invite all of our students.
Oh,
And then we also invite the technology and maintenance department of our school district, because they don't ever get included in things.
that's so smart too.
Yeah, so we do that. And you know, several of our students said that was the only Thanksgiving they had. They don't bother doing Thanksgiving in their own home. So we have done that forever and ever and ever and ever. And like I said, the staff provides the food for everyone. So that's what we do in Belding.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, we've got to share more with MACAE. If you guys share pictures or comment, we can put it on our social media. We love to share what the local programs are doing. We'll hopefully get back to doing more of that once we have someone in place to do it. Any other good news to share before we move on? Thank you guys for sharing so much. All right. Now, some of these grant updates are going to be very basic and it's going to be like wah wah, but we're just sharing the updates that we have. With the Adult Literacy Opportunity Fund for our nonprofit literacy partners, we are hearing there's movement. We are hoping to receive the funding formally within supposedly the next 2 weeks. So once we get that funding process approved, then we can put out the RFP. Now, obviously, that timing is coming right up on the holiday break. So if we can, we will get out the RFP before the break, so you have time to peruse it, but we won't be able to do the FAQ or any webinars on it until after the break, obviously, because there just won't be enough time, and we want everyone to have time to read it, to come up with their questions before we have the FAQ. So there will be more information to come, hopefully before the break, if all goes well. We do know, which is really good news, that we are extending the deadline to spend it until June of 2025. It was originally supposed to be this year, but because it's taken so long for them to get the funds to us, they've graciously allowed us to have an additional year. So that's super good news. So it won't be like 6 months to try to spend it out. You'll have a full school year to spend it out. So that's good news. And that's number one, because that's the one I have the most information and the best news about. So there you go. Remember that one as you go through the others. I put the Meisters grant on here just as a reminder for any of you that are going to apply. It is due December 18th. That is an apprenticeship grant that the website is on here with the link. Oh, Marcus, I see you. Is your hand up about that literacy?
Yeah, I just with that timeline, once the RFP is out, are you thinking it's going to be about a month turnaround? I think that's what we had heard.
Yes, I want to try to make it as quick as possible, but not be unprofessionally fast, because
Sure.
we do need to still figure out what sites we're going to put it on to make sure that it's not just MACAE members that know about it.
Yep. Okay.
I'm assuming the state will put it on their site, but we need to, and actually I might ask you and Michael, like where you go to find your grants, just to make sure that we have it published in enough places to be fair
Sure.
and equitable. So
Okay.
I might be reaching out to you guys once I have more information.
Perfect. No,
But
thank
yeah,
you.
I'm hoping for a pretty quick turnaround.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep. So with the MyStairs apprenticeship grant, and I don't know if Karen's on, I think Karen was talking about writing for this grant, if you need someone who has more information on it. It is due December 18th. MACAE is a partner in that grant, and we will be supporting some of the professional development, creating meeting space for best practices and for the group to kind of work together to figure out this space, because adult education and apprenticeships has been very tricky. It's very hard to get our adults into apprenticeships because there's not that many, and they tend to pick, college grads or high school grads that have these, they tend to not look at our population first. So this grant is specifically to help change that and to open a window for our adult ed to be in apprenticeships, which a lot of this is obviously geared toward that 60 by 30 and the governor wanting to meet that goal. So you will find many of these are like workforce related. The CLEP grant that MACAE has partnered with MCAN on, I'm going to have Joel unmute and provide an update on that.
Right. So right now we're scheduled to have our third required quarterly meeting on Thursday, February 15th from 2 to 3:30, and I'll put that in the chat for anybody. And if you have any questions or need anything up to that point or until then, I'll also put my email in there, and you can feel free to email me and ask whatever. I'll see if I can, I do whatever I can to try to help.
Yeah. So that is a grant that's already in the works and is a work in progress. And so no one can add to that right now, correct, Joel? If someone wants to be a part of that, they'll have to wait till the next round.
Yes, we're in the middle of phase 2 right now. So yes.
Okay, perfect. So if anyone has any questions on that, you can chat with Joel in the chat. Thank you. Section 107 is on here just as a reminder for many of us. I know at least in our region, our amendments are due before the break. So if you haven't started working on your amendment, I recommend starting to looking at your expenses, and if you have deferred, making sure you have those spent out in time and preparing for that amendment. It's going to be tricky, I think, this winter, because our final amendment is probably going to be due around the same time we'll be writing for the new 3 years for section 107 or 4-year grant cycle. So you're going to be, trying to keep up with one while you're preparing for the second one. And I think it looks like section 107 and WIOA grant writing might be under a very similar time frame, which isn't such a bad thing because they really are kind of duplicative, because you're doing the same work, right? In both grants, some of the questions are just a little different that you have to, negotiate your verbiage a little bit. But I believe as of the last time I talked to the state, they were talking like a February timeframe for those. And as we get more information, we will feel more comfortable sharing more, but we haven't received anything specific yet on those timelines. And hopefully, I know Ted is meeting with the state tomorrow. I'm not sure if that's on your agenda to talk about as far as those timelines, but if we get any, we'll make sure we share it in our next Monday update. There probably will not be another Monday update until the new year. We've shared on this Monday all of our upcoming PD for you to save the date and our December committee meetings. So there's really not going to be a need with the end of the year unless something, unless we find out something really important, then we'll throw one in there, or we'll just at least throw in an email with updates. But as of now, we are not planning on doing another Monday update until the new year. 107A, unfortunately, I have not been able to get any information on. I did reach out to the state to ask if they've had any clarification on the verbiage when they changed it to read post-secondary, but I did not get a response. So that's telling me they're still trying to figure out that new verbiage and what that allocation and adding that partner is going to mean. So we have not been provided a timeline. We have not been provided any more information on who's going to even be eligible. And I know you guys have been waiting, and I know we've gotten some emails to the office email about that. So I just added this on here to let you know that I promise as soon as we know anything, we will put it out to you. So if we're not putting anything out, that means we don't have any more information on it. If any of you have information from working locally with maybe your legislators that are involved, which maybe that's what Mike O'Connor has his hand raised for, that would be great.
Yeah, we reached out to Senator Bob Bumstead's office in Muskegon and his aide Andrew. And Pat, if you're online, you can speak to this because you spoke with him. Are you online? Okay, perhaps not. Pat Wallstra. Anyhow, they have no information either. But last week we had our regional monthly meeting, and Sandy and Carrie happened to both be on there, sharing that time with us. And Sandy suggested that perhaps we'd like to suggest some language and send that to the department. So we did that yesterday. A group of us met after we got feedback from the region, and we sent some language to clarify that our first choice is just to get rid of that post-secondary language. And then the other part of that is we made it more related directly to students involved in completing their high school diploma or GED, basically.
Well, that takes out the whole ESL population.
No, it leaves them in there too.
Oh, okay, because you said if it's focused on that.
I'm sorry,
Can
no,
you
we
forward
included them too. Let me
Okay,
see if
can- Yeah, if you can forward that to me, that would be great, because I'd like, and to Ted, because that's important for Ted to know as he's meeting with the state tomorrow and for whatever he's, advocacy measures are going to be toward 107A. It would be important that we have all that information, please.
Okay, I will do that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so at least we know there's some conversation going on, so that's a good thing. It hasn't been set in stone yet. But that's what we know so far. So if you have any ties to any legislators and you want to reach out to Ted, once Mike shares that information and we can put together maybe a concise, common language that we all want to share, so we're all on the same page, that would be very helpful.
Jamie?
Yeah.
Yeah, here's what we wrote or submitted. We changed that language to authorized adult education, post-secondary innovative programs are concurrent learning opportunities designed to provide continuing education, career and technical education, and skill development for adult education students who are working to complete their secondary credentials, English language proficiency, or remediation. These programs are designed to expand beyond the standard secondary curriculum for adults to further their education, obtain sustainable employment, and meet their personal/professional goals.
Okay. Cool.
And I'll send that to you.
Yeah, if you can make sure to send that to Ted, that would be great.
All right.
So more news to come, and it sounds like with this new twist that's been added, it's probably, I don't know how fast it's gonna come down the pipe to when we can plan on being able to even use those funds if we are eligible for those funds. So just know if we get information, we will share it. And otherwise, don't keep reaching out asking, do you have any information? Because we don't. So it's just flooding Jackie's email and we just don't have any information, but we will share if we get it.
Yeah, Tammy, technically the verbiage before this, well, let me get a step back a minute. The verbiage that relates it to Grand Rapids.
That was the definition of talent first. It wasn't, it didn't mean that Grand Rapids could use it. It was just it was tying it to that specific group as a co-author.
Exactly. Right. And what that means is that group would manage it along with Leo.
Yes. Yes.
It doesn't mean that they control the money or anything, or that you wouldn't be eligible. Well, or that you wouldn't be eligible for it.
Well, them administering it isn't the problem with the eligibility. It's the verbiage they changed to post-secondary in the top is what's limiting us if that change stays.
Right. That's what we addressed, as I just read.
Yeah, we get that Talent First is gonna, be a part of it.
Yeah.
But the problem is them limiting it to post-secondary.
Right.
So that's where we're waiting for more information. Anybody else have any other grant questions or updates or new grants that we don't have here sharing? All right, hearing none. These are the final two events happening with MACAE before the break. We have Whitney's High School Equivalency and Completion Committee meeting. Well, it's not Whitney's, she's the chair for it. So please make sure if you are not already a part of that committee and you want to work with that committee, that is a very active committee. Whitney's email is right there on the screen, and this PowerPoint and the recording will be shared out with you. I don't know if Whitney's on.
I am.
There you are. Oh, you're muted.
I just realized my email is spelled wrong on the slide. It's Iasco Risa. So instead of the A, it's an O.
Oh,
Yeah,
all right.
IOSCO. So if anybody's jotting that down.
Oops. Oh no.
And people can always join us. We
Jack,
do
just
have
make a note
lively
for us to change
conversations.
that. Does anyone have any questions about the committee or what they do or what it means to be a part of it? It's not a huge investment in time unless you want to help, run a session, but you get to help with ideas of what needs there are across the area, what your specific needs are, what your student population barriers are, things like that. It's really
And we have, a lot of times we do roundtables with questions. So if you have burning questions, it's a good group for your peers to answer. I do a lot of just facilitating the conversation and everybody else answers the questions. So it's a great group.
I also see Nancy dropped in. There's the community ed meetings December 15th in Saline.
Oh, okay. So Jackie, if you could make a note to add to this PowerPoint, December 15th, there's a community education committee meeting, and is it virtual or is it in Saline?
I don't know. Nancy, do you have the ability to fill in the details?
Yes, it's held at the community ed facility in Saline at 12:30. Brian Puffer is the person in charge.
I see Brian.
Oh, there's Brian. Hi,
Yep.
Brian. Can
Hi.
you put in the chat your email, the location, the time,
Yep,
and then
will
we'll
do.
try to get it added to this PowerPoint before we send it out.
Will do.
Thank you so much. And then Jackie, if you can also make sure we update Whitney's email. Appreciate it. All right. We will now move on to our save the dates. We will have our January check-in on January 10th. That is not the normal week. Normally it's the first week of the month, but hopefully many of you will still be, resting and enjoying family January 3rd. And I'm hoping by waiting till the 10th, we might have good news to share with you. We'll see. Then we have Ted's PD with sketches on January 26th in person. And I'm going to let Ted share a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so advocacy committee's been working with Michael Oogie, along with several other individuals. There's a lot of people involved, but we're going to be putting on January 26th here in Howell at Livingston ESA, free for MACAE members, creating messages with empowered learner voice. So the idea of this, and the more information is coming out hopefully by the end of the week, where you can actually get on and register. The idea is to really focus on how do you create your messages with your learners. This is a focus for programs, not for students to be at. So this is for the people, your directors, your coordinators, maybe your outreach, to think about how are we using student voice to advocate, to empower our learners, and to grow our program. Michael's going to share his expertise, and we're also going to have a panel of several people that are going to just kind of talk about how they've seen it used successfully in advocacy for their programs. It is going to be in person from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. We know that it's in the winter, so we will be flexible. I'm going to actually meet with Jackie and talk with her about that today, of what does it look like if we have some issues with the snow or weather. So, but it is going to be capped at 40 because of the location and it being in person. The idea is not a hybrid option. It is an in-person option, but we can look at weather and how that may proceed or change that. So.
Thank you, Chad. Mariah, I see you have your hand raised. You're muted.
Yeah, it's for an update. I can wait.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Next we have how to plan and execute a GED boot camp. which this is obviously always a very popular PD. And I don't know if Kelly or Whitney want to jump on and share a little bit more about what that entails.
Hello, is Kelly on here?
Kelly's on, but I don't know if she's
Okay.
able to speak.
So Kelly went to the GED conference last year, or I guess this last summer, and they talked about a GED boot camp as just a short term. You can plan it as a 1 week, a 2 week, maybe a month to get students over that hurdle. She's also going to go through the GED analytics on GED Manager. So it's important if you're coming to this boot camp or to the PD, sorry, that you ask Erica ahead of time to add in the GED analytics on GED Manager, because we're going to show you how to pull different data. There's a few new things that have been added, but to pull things like students in your area that have one test to go, and then really targeting by which test they have, and designing a boot camp specifically for a targeted audience.
So is that Erica Luce from the
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sorry. So if you can reach out to Erica, and I know she's busy, so sometimes you might have to maybe send a little extra email. I'm planning to ask her also if she could maybe just add that to everyone in the state, because I'm hoping that once we, whoever comes to this PD, then maybe they'll share out with their team or their region, and we can use these tools to increase the number of students that we're reaching, but also using the boot camp to get more people passing those last tests.
Awesome, thank you.
Kelly just put in the chat that if you're not a test center, Erica might not grant access to GED Manager. I'm not a test center for GED, and I have GED Manager access, so I think directors should be able to. But that's a conversation with Trisha Kane and Erica Luce. So if you don't have GED Manager access, that would be your first step.
And I would stress maybe in your request for that to discuss how you want to target those and find those that have, some tests, but not all, because I'm sure that's very important to the state to find and get those completers. So hopefully with that incentive, maybe they'll be more apt to give you GED Manager status.
Right.
Not a test center.
And it aligns right with their state priorities.
Yeah.
So I would think that they would want to grant access.
Okay, great.
I don't see any reason why they wouldn't want to.
Yeah, I don't know how hard it is for them to.
Right. Yeah. And it could
what
be
they have to do.
just a matter of like having the time to get into the system and make it happen. So
yeah. Lori, I see
a couple people.
Yeah.
Hey, Whitney and Tammy, I will tell you that the GED Manager access, they will give it to people from programs that don't have a testing center, but it's very different. And essentially, some of our employees have access where only if people select your program can you see them. So then you can't get those people who tested who were not part of your program to try to find them and get them in. And that's just because the access to do that is really for the highest level of the test center manager people. Does that make sense? So although Jen is telling us this is a great thing, you can find this stuff, unfortunately, the way they have it set up right now in the state of Michigan with that access, it makes it a little bit difficult because you have to have that certain level of manager access.
Okay, Kelly said that the boot camp will still be helpful if you don't have it. That like she could run the reports for people for their zip code and just send them to you. But also you can run a boot camp for the students that are currently enrolled in your program. I will also have a conversation with Erica about opening that up more for the state. It just makes sense.
Well, to target those. Yes, I agree. Targeted marketing and targeted reach out will obviously, I would think, be a much higher percentage of success.
Right.
Thank you for sharing, Whitney. And Kelly unfortunately can't get on video or Zoom right now, but she does run a good PD. Next is our data PD, which we're trying to time to fit around those new grants. Joel, if you are on again and want to share about the data PD, that would be wonderful.
Yes, so this is going to be a virtual PD, and we're going to spend some time talking about data procedures, and then we're going to look at some reports and compare them to your other data systems, do some practical problem solving of any data issues you have, and then any suggestions that you might have to try to improve mayor's or anybody else's data system. So there's going to be a lot of interactive part of it. So that's coming up on Friday, February 16th.
And it's going to be important in the next coming months to make sure you understand your data and where you were at last year and the year before, because when you have to write for the new grants, if they are consistent with past grants, they've used the last 2 or 3 years of your data, your performance data, to determine if you're even eligible to write for the new grant. And it's generally been 50% of the performance measure. You had to get at least 50%. So if we were at 40, you would have to get 20% to even be eligible to write. And if you're not at that 20, then you need to be able to find some other data points to use to show growth, to show success this year to make up for that year. But you're going to have to find other ways and rationales to try to maintain that funding if you don't meet those data points. So I would start looking now so that when you're with Joel on February 16th, you have some good ideas of what you need, what you're looking for, and where you're at.
And I just wanted to mention, it's going to be mostly for directors, coordinators, and then whoever the other data people that you have. But if anyone else wants to get into it as well, that's involved in their program's data, that will be open to them as well.
Thank you. So we have more free PD in February than normal because we're making up for not having it consistently in this fall. It's been kind of crazy. So please notice that we're following through with what we promised. And then we have our advocacy day in April that we don't have the date for yet, but we do know that we will have space at the Anderson House. Ted, I don't know if you have any more information since we created this on. Yeah,
we're going to be working. Actually, we might have a date by the end of this week. Thanks. I want to give a shout out to Tamari over at WCC. She's been super helpful as our SAFE fellow with COABE to help secure this location with her representatives. So and we're actually meeting a little bit after this to talk a little bit about Advocacy Day and some other things. So yeah, exciting. Probably going to be April's busy between SAT. We're trying to keep everything in mind with people. SAT, beginning of spring breaks. So I'm guessing it's be towards the later end, especially with what's next, which is our Spring Institute, April 18th and 19th. So we might be looking at last week in April. We just have, those are things we just got to kind of flush out. So, but hopefully by the end of this week, we'll have those dates, and we'll be in the opposite house that we were in last year. So it'll be really good. And we'll start doing some PD planning around that in February and March as well. So.
Awesome. And if there's any specific advocacy concerns or questions you have, or that you would like to see added to that day, we had an awesome day last year. We had record numbers. We had standing room only in the room. It was amazing. So if you were there last year and you have any suggestions or ideas, please reach out to Ted. The sooner the better, so that while he's in the middle of creating it, if there's room or space for that makes sense, we can make sure we fill that need. And then last but not least, dates that we already know, our MACAE Spring Institute will be Thursday and Friday, April 18th and 19th. This will be virtual again. I know that as a group, we like to meet in person, but what we found is there's advantages to virtual as well. We get people engaged that can't come in person. So we do the fall conference in person, and we do the Spring Institute virtual in hopes of being able to, be equitable with the access that all have. And we have found that there is a difference in the populations that can do both. So we appreciate that you understand and respect the virtual in the spring. It's not, it's so that we can reach those that can't always leave their buildings or have the funds to get a hotel or drive the travel costs. So that could change every year if we vote on it and we decide what's best. So if we get a lot of feedback that everyone really would prefer in person, then it doesn't mean it can't be an in-person, in the future. But right now we found to be equitable and get the best outreach to the majority of our membership, we do the fall in person and the spring virtual. Mariah, while we're on Save the Dates, do you want to go ahead and share your update?
I was just going to mention that the state of Michigan has some funds out for small organizations that are either run by newcomers or new Americans or that support them and that don't receive a lot of state funding already. They do have to be nonprofit organizations, which can be kind of challenging, but other organizations can be the fiduciary for that. But because they're trying to target groups that don't necessarily apply for larger state funding because they don't know how to do it or they feel nervous about it, there's a couple of training seminars. I noticed that my links in the chat did not go through well, so I apologize about that. But I'll send out some information. I'll put a little flyer here in the link for, it's just basic information for an organization that might be looking to apply. So I know that across the state, we're seeing a lot of newcomers that are kind of new to your communities and that can present a lot of opportunities and a lot of challenges. And there's a lot of interest from the state to making sure that there's access and equity within these communities for people to thrive. So that's what this is all about. And if you have any other questions at another time, feel free to give me a shout out and I'm happy to connect you with people. Emma Davis is really spearheading this down in the Detroit area. And she would be a primary contact, but I can help put you in contact if you'd like. Thanks.
Mariah, can you put your email in the chat since the link didn't work so they can email you to ask for more information?
Sure.
That would be great. Thank you so much. Anyone else have any other save the dates or updates? All right, then we will move forward with Ted's advocacy update.
I'll make this quick. We're continuing to work on fiscal priorities for the 2025 budget year. Tammy had mentioned Whitney and I have a meeting coming up with the state to kind of discuss some things as well around these fiscal priorities, trying to work with some of our partners on what their fiscal priorities are. We want to get them in soon so we can have those and get support from our partners and groups that are needed. So we do talk about some of those in our biweekly, and I understand bi is spelled wrong, sorry, the biweekly advocacy meetings. So if you want to jump in on there, we're also going to be reaching out to programs and to directors to get some feedback on those as well. Advocacy Day, as you heard, is in the works. And I forgot what else is on there. And importance as well, going to the Sally meeting this month, because I'm one of your reps with COABE. There's been a big focus on social media and the importance of reaching out to learners and potential learners. You saw that in the advocacy tip in the email that went out on Monday. So just thinking about how you're using social media, how social media is being used to reach your potential learners and your recent learners and gather those stories. And looking at some of those tips that were maybe sent out to think about during the holidays. I heard about some of the great celebrations people are doing. So, are we thinking about how we're using our alumni coming back to those possibly to share their stories with our current learners and to be that, that advocate for our programs. Reminder, the COABE National Conference is open for registration. If you are thinking about it, if you had modifications and you have to make amendments and you have some money that maybe didn't get spent and you weren't planning on going, maybe reaching out to your fiscal agent to get some pre-approval out-of-state travel forms. The COABE conference is a great resource of some of the best practices around, teaching, learning, advocacy, and literacy for our adult learners. So really kind of just a quick update on that. I'm open to other information. I'm open to being invited out if you're having some talks, legislative talks or things within your areas. where you want MACAE to be kind of looped in on, I'm happy to jump in. So we can kind of have MACAE having that shared message with everybody, you know, around what our support is. So I do invite you to be part of our biweekly advocacy meetings. Email me, my email's there if you're interested. We try to keep them within the hour. I think most people can attest. I try to keep it short, sweet, and to the point. So it is a meeting where we do have action items and we come out of, you know, the meeting with things to do. So other than that, I don't have much else, Tammy, unless people have questions regarding the advocacy group.
No, thanks. That's a great update. Just know we're always working behind the scenes, even if you don't hear from us for a couple of weeks. Anyone have any questions or updates advocacy wise? I think right now the most important thing we need to get connected with is what Mike O'Connor needs to share with us for your conversation tomorrow about 107A. Make sure we're in that loop. All right, we will move on to questions and answers. So this is your time. If you have no question is a bad question. So if there are any random questions or timelines that we can possibly help with, or if you just want to reach out to your fellow practitioners on the screen, now's your time to ask any questions. Oh, this is good. This means we answered them all in our presentation. Well, again, we just want to wish everybody ahead of time, you know, happy holidays and happy new year. And I hope you take some time to wind down during those couple of weeks. We'll be still working hard for you behind the scenes, and we'll provide you updates as we have them, and hope you will join us for our December committee meetings and our January and February professional development. And hopefully, like I said, looking forward to sharing a new director with you in the new year. So I hope you all have an amazing month of December, and we'll see you in January.
Thanks, Tammy.
Jackie, you can stop the recording now. Thank you.